Look, it's January 1st, and you're sitting here thinking this is going to be my year financially. You've got that New Year's energy, you're motivated, you're ready to finally get your money together. Maybe you're even writing down goals right now. Save more, pay off debt, build an emergency fund. But here's the thing that nobody wants to admit. Statistically, you're probably going to end 2026 in basically the same financial position you're in right now, maybe even worse. And I know that sounds harsh, but think about last year for a second. Did you start 2025 with financial goals? Of course you did. How'd that work out? If you're being honest with yourself, you probably made it through January, maybe February, and then life happened. Unexpected expenses came up. The budget you created didn't stick, and by March or April, you'd basically given up on the whole thing. If that sounds familiar, you need to understand something. This isn't a willpower problem. This isn't because you're bad with money. There's actually a specific reason why most people fail financially year after year, and once you understand it, you can actually break the cycle in 2026, and that's what this video is about. My name is Thomas, and I spend way too much time thinking about why smart people make terrible financial decisions and how broken our relationship with money actually is. If you're someone who makes decent money but can't seem to build wealth, who starts every year with financial goals that somehow disappear by spring, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. The core problem. Here's what most people don't realize. The reason you fail financially every year isn't because you don't know what to do. It's not information you're missing. I mean, everyone knows they should save money, right? Everyone knows they should invest. Everyone knows they shouldn't carry credit card debt at 24% interest. The problem is that you're trying to fight your financial battles on the wrong battlefield. Let me show you what I mean. According to a 2024 bank rate survey, 78% of Americans say that saving money is one of their top financial priorities. 78%. But here's the crazy part. According to the Federal Reserve, 37% of Americans can't cover a $400 emergency expense without borrowing money or selling something. Think about that gap for a second. Almost 8 out of 10 people say saving's a priority, but 4 out of 10 can't handle a $400 surprise. That's not a knowledge gap. That's not people not knowing they should save. That's a systems gap. Now, you might be thinking, okay, Thomas, but I do try to save. I do try to budget. It just doesn't stick. And this is where it gets really interesting, because there's actually a psychological mechanism that's working against you, and most people have no idea it's even happening. It's called present bias, and here's how it destroys your finances. Your brain values money today way more than money tomorrow, not just a little bit more, like exponentially more. Behavioral economists have studied this extensively, and they've found that when people are offered $100 today versus $110 in a month, most people take the $100 today. That's a 10% return in 30 days, which would be a 120% annual return. But our brains are so wired for immediate gratification that we can't see it. But here's where this gets dangerous for your finances. This same bias makes you treat future expenses like they're not real expenses. Let me give you a real example. Let's say you make $5,000 a month after taxes. That's $60,000 a year, decent middle-class income. Today, January 1st, you're sitting down thinking, okay, I'm going to save $500 a month this year. That's only 10% of my income, totally doable. But then February hits, and your car insurance bill comes due, $1,200 for 6 months. You didn't budget for it because it's not a monthly expense, so it feels like this surprise. Then in March, you need new tires, $600. In April, it's your spouse's birthday, $300 on a nice dinner and gifts. In June, your friends are getting married, $200 for a gift plus travel costs. In July, your AC breaks, $800 to fix it. None of these feel like regular expenses because they're not monthly, but when you add them up over the year, you've just spent an extra $3,900 on surprises that aren't really surprises at all. These things happen every year, but because your brain doesn't process irregular expenses the same way it processes your rent or your phone bill, you never budget for them. You just treat them as bad luck. And this is the cycle that keeps you stuck.
Look, let me show you the actual math of why this matters, because when you see the numbers, it's kind of shocking. The average American household spends about $4,200 per year on irregular but predictable expenses. Think car repairs, home maintenance, medical copays, gifts, annual subscriptions. None of this is truly unexpected. Cars need maintenance. Houses need repairs. You know Christmas is coming in December. But because these expenses don't hit monthly, most people don't budget for them. So what happens? You put them on a credit card. And here's where the math gets brutal. Let's say you put $350 a month of these surprise expenses on a credit card at 22% APR. That's pretty typical right now. If you're making minimum payments of about 3% of the balance, here's what happens. Year 1, you charge $4,200. You pay $1,850 in payments. Your balance at the end of the year is $3,290. Year 2, you charge another $4,200. You pay $2,100. Your balance is now $6,180. Year 3, you charge another $4,200. You pay $2,380. Your balance is now $8,970. After 3 years of this cycle, you've charged $12,600 to your credit card, you've made $6,330 in payments, and you still owe almost $9,000. You've paid $6,330 and your balance went up. This is why you can't get ahead. This is why every year feels like you're running in place financially. You're not spending recklessly. You're not buying stupid stuff. You're just failing to account for irregular expenses so they become debt, and that debt compounds against you. Here's the thing that makes this so insidious. These expenses are invisible until they hit. When you sit down today to make your 2026 budget, you look at your income, $5,000 a month, you look at your regular expenses, rent, utilities, car payment, insurance, groceries, gas. Let's say that's $3,800. You think, great, I've got $1,200 left over. I can definitely save $500 and still have $700 for fun stuff. But that math is wrong. It's wrong because you're only looking at monthly expenses. You've got this huge category of yearly expenses that your brain just doesn't see. So when they hit, they feel like emergencies. But they're not emergencies, they're just expenses you didn't plan for. According to a study by the J.P. Morgan Chase Institute, and this is fascinating, the average household has income that varies by about 30% month to month, and expenses that vary by about 40% month to month. 40%! That means if your average month is $4,000 in expenses, some months you're spending $5,600, and you don't know which months those will be. How are you supposed to budget for that? How are you supposed to save consistently when your expenses swing by 40% and you can't predict when? You can't. Not with traditional monthly budgeting, which is why traditional monthly budgeting fails for most people. Now, here's where the psychology gets really interesting, and this is going to sound counterintuitive, but stay with me. The reason most people fail financially every year isn't because they spend too much. It's because they try too hard to save. I know that sounds crazy, but here's what happens. You start the year super motivated. Right now, today, you're going to save $500 a month, pay off your credit card, build an emergency fund. You're going to be responsible. So you save that $500 in January. You save it in February. You're crushing it. Then March comes and your car needs $600 in repairs. You've got $1,000 in savings now. Do you use it? Or do you put the repair on a credit card to preserve your emergency fund? Most people put it on the credit card. Why? Because psychologically, taking money out of savings feels like failure. It feels like you're going backwards. So you protect that savings balance, even though that's literally what savings is for. So now you've got $1,000 in savings earning maybe 4% interest, that's $40 a year, and $600 in new credit card debt at 22% interest, that's $132 a year. You just cost yourself $92 to avoid the psychological pain of breaking your savings streak. This is called mental accounting, and it's one of the most expensive cognitive biases in personal finance. Your brain treats different money differently based on arbitrary categories you've created, even when it makes no mathematical sense. Okay, so let me tie this all together because this is the core insight that changes everything. The reason most people fail financially every year isn't because they're irresponsible. It's not because they buy too many lattes. God, I hate that advice. It's not even because they don't make enough money, although obviously that can be a factor. The reason most people fail is because they're using a financial system, monthly budgeting, monthly savings goals, that's fundamentally mismatched to how expenses actually work and how human psychology actually works. Monthly budgeting assumes expenses are stable and predictable. They're not. Monthly savings goals assume you can maintain the same behavior every month. You can't. Traditional emergency funds assume you'll only use them for real emergencies. You won't. You're trying to use tools designed for a fictional person living a fictional life. And then you're surprised and you beat yourself up when it doesn't work. It's like trying to build a house with just a hammer and then feeling like a failure when you can't cut the wood. It's not you, it's the tools.
All right, so how do you actually fix this? How do you break the cycle in 2026? Because understanding the problem is useful, but you need actual solutions. And look, I'm going to give you a system that sounds almost stupidly simple, but it works because it's designed around how expenses actually happen and how your brain actually works. Step 1. Calculate your true monthly expenses. This is the step everyone skips, and it's why everything falls apart. You need to take every non-monthly expense you have and convert it to a monthly number. Sit down right now, literally pause this video and do this, and list out every expense you had last year that wasn't monthly. Car insurance, car repairs, home repairs, gifts, annual subscriptions, medical expenses, everything. Look at your bank statements and credit card statements from 2025. Add it all up. Let's say it comes to $5,000. Divide by 12. That's $417 a month that you need to budget for irregular expenses. That's your real monthly expense number that you've been ignoring. If your regular monthly expenses are $3,800, your true monthly expenses are $4,217, not $3,800. And this is why your budget keeps failing. You've been budgeting for $3,800 when your real number is $4,217. Step 2. Create expense buckets, not one big emergency fund. Here's where you need to change your psychology. Instead of one savings account that you're afraid to touch, you need multiple buckets for different purposes. One bucket is your true emergency fund, job loss, major medical emergency, things that are actually unpredictable. This should be 3 to 6 months of expenses, and yes, it takes time to build. That's okay. But you need a second bucket, call it your irregular expense fund, that gets that $417 a month. This money is meant to be spent. When your car insurance bill comes in July, you pay it from this bucket. When you need new tires in September, you pay from this bucket. This isn't breaking your savings. This is your system working exactly as designed. This psychological shift is huge. You're not failing when you use this money. You're succeeding at planning. Step 3. Automate everything. Your brain is working against you, so you need to remove decisions from the equation. On the day your paycheck hits, automatic transfers should happen. X amount to your true emergency fund, even if it's just $50 to start. $417, or whatever your number is, to your irregular expense fund. Whatever you can afford to investing or retirement. What's left over is what you can spend. This is the opposite of how most people budget. They spend first, then try to save what's left. That doesn't work because there's never anything left. Step 4. Review and adjust quarterly, not monthly. Here's the thing about monthly reviews. They're demotivating because some months you'll spend more, some months you'll spend less, and when you spend more, you feel like you failed. Instead, review your finances every 3 months. Did your irregular expense fund cover what it needed to cover? Great, the system is working. Did you go over? Adjust the amount you're setting aside. Did you have extra? You can move some to your emergency fund or investments. Quarterly reviews smooth out the monthly volatility and give you a realistic picture of how you're actually doing.
Now look, I need to be honest about something, because I don't want to pretend that these strategies solve everything. If your income barely covers your basic expenses, if you're making $3,500 a month and your regular expenses are $3,400, then you don't have a budgeting problem. You have an income problem, and no amount of budget optimization is going to fix that. If that's your situation, your priority isn't optimizing your budget, it's increasing your income. That might mean negotiating a raise at your current job, switching to a higher paying job, developing skills that command higher pay, starting a side income stream, moving to a lower cost of living area. These are hard conversations that most personal finance content doesn't want to have because they're not easy fixes, but they're real. If your income is too low, you need to address that structurally, not just budget better. Here's what most people don't realize about personal finance. It's not actually about the money. I mean, yes, obviously it's about money, but the real issue is control. The reason financial failure feels so bad, the reason you're watching this video in the first place, is because feeling out of control of your finances makes you feel out of control of your life. When you end every year in the same place you started, when you can't build savings, when unexpected expenses throw you into panic mode, it's not just stressful financially, it makes you feel like you're failing at being an adult. It makes you feel like everyone else has figured something out that you haven't. But here's the truth. Everyone else is struggling with the exact same things. They just don't talk about it. According to the American Psychological Association, 72% of Americans report feeling stressed about money at least some of the time. 72%. That's not a few people struggling, that's damn near everyone. The difference between people who build wealth and people who don't isn't that wealthy people never struggle, it's that they've built systems that work with human psychology instead of against it. All right, here's what I want you to do. Not next week, not when you feel ready. This week. In the next few days, I want you to calculate your true monthly expenses using the method I showed you. Look at 2025's irregular expenses, divide by 12, add it to your monthly number. That's your real budget. Then I want you to set up those two separate accounts, one for true emergencies, one for irregular expenses. Even if you can only put $50 a month into each one right now, set up the system. Because once the system exists, you can increase the amounts as your income grows. But if the system doesn't exist, you'll just keep repeating the same cycle. And here's the thing. If you do this, if you actually implement this system, 2026 is going to feel completely different financially. Not because you'll suddenly be rich, not because you'll never have financial stress, but because you'll be in control. When expenses come up, you'll handle them. When opportunities come up, you'll be able to take them. You'll end next December further ahead than you started. That's what breaking the cycle actually means. It doesn't mean perfection, it means progress. Look, I know this was a longer video, but this stuff matters. The decisions you make this week about how you set up your finances for 2026 are going to determine whether next January you're watching a video like this again feeling the same frustration, or whether you're actually building towards something. If this helped you see your finances differently, hit that subscribe button, because I make videos like this breaking down why smart people make terrible financial decisions and how to actually fix them. Give it a thumbs up if you found this valuable. And let me know in the comments, what's the irregular expense that always catches you off guard? For me, it used to be car stuff. I'd somehow convince myself my car would never need repairs, and then boom, $800 repair bill, every single time. I want to hear yours. All right, I'll see you in the next one. And seriously, set up those accounts this week. Future you in December 2026 will thank you.